handsome, intelligent, and a rising star in politics. To the public, Ted Bundy seemed like the perfect gentleman, but behind that charming smile lurked a monster, a predator who used his charisma as a weapon. How did one man deceive an entire nation, leaving a trail of terror that would forever change the face of crime investigation? This is the story of how a deceptive facade hid one of history's most notorious killers. Ted Bundy wasn't your typical movie villain hiding in the shadows. He was a master manipulator who walked in broad daylight. He famously feigned injuries, wearing a cast or using crutches to appear helpless and non-threatening. This tactic preyed on the kindness of strangers, luring them into his trap. He would ask for help carrying books or loading something into his car, exploiting a moment of compassion to gain complete control. His good looks and articulate speech made people drop their guard, believing they were safe with someone who seemed so trustworthy. This calculated deception was the cornerstone of his horrific crimes. He exploited societal norms and the inherent trust we place in people who appear harmless. The public's fascination with Bundy was a double-edged sword. While his crimes were horrifying, his trial became a media spectacle. He was articulate and represented himself in court, turning the proceedings into a performance. This constant media attention amplified his notoriety, making him a household name. But this same fascination also started a crucial conversation. People began to realize that evil doesn't always wear a monstrous face. Bundy's case forced society to reconsider its assumptions about safety and danger. The phrase stranger danger took on a new, more complex meaning. It wasn't just about avoiding shadowy figures in dark alleys. It was about recognizing that danger could come from someone who looks just like your friendly neighbor. His legacy serves as a chilling reminder to look beyond a superficial charm. As the legal battles raged on, the world tried to make sense of the man behind the murders. The trials revealed a deeply fractured mind. On one hand, Bundy was intelligent, a former law student who could debate legal points with prosecutors. On the other hand, he displayed a shocking level of childish immaturity and narcissism. He fired his experienced lawyers to represent himself, a disastrous decision driven by his grandiose belief that he was smarter than everyone in the room. This narcissistic need for the spotlight turned his trial into a circus, where he played the lead role. He seemed to relish the attention, basking in the infamy he had created. Psychiatrists who evaluated him were divided. Some argued he was competent to stand trial, while others pointed to deep-seated psychological issues. His personality was a bizarre mix of calculated cunning and impulsive recklessness. He could meticulously plan his crimes, yet make foolish mistakes that led to his capture. This duality baffled experts. Was he a cold, calculating psychopath, a delusional narcissist, or something else entirely? The court proceedings offered a disturbing window into a mind that could charm and kill with equal ease, a personality so complex that it continues to be studied and debated by criminologists and psychologists to this day. His actions were not just crimes. They were manifestations of a profoundly disturbed psyche. The end for Ted Bundy came on January 24th, 1989. His final days were a mix of desperate legal maneuvers and chilling last-minute confessions. In a series of interviews, he finally admitted to dozens of murders, providing grim details that had been sought for years. Yet, even in his final hours, the manipulation continued. He blamed his actions on external forces, trying to paint himself as a victim of society rather than the predator he was. He famously refused a special last meal, a final act of defiance against the system that was about to execute him. His last words, spoken to his attorney and a minister, were a quiet, cryptic message, leaving many to wonder if it was a final, desperate attempt at eliciting sympathy. The atmosphere outside the prison on the morning of his execution was described as a circus. Crowds gathered, some celebrating, some protesting the death penalty. It was a surreal end to a saga that had captivated and horrified the nation for over a decade. His execution marked the close of a terrifying chapter, but the questions surrounding his life and crimes lingered. In a final macabre twist, his brain was removed for scientific study, a search for a physical explanation for his monstrous behavior. His ashes were later scattered in the Cascade Mountains of Washington state, the same mountain range where he had committed some of his earliest known crimes, a haunting final connection to his reign of terror. The legacy of Ted Bundy extends far beyond the true crime documentaries and books that bear his name. His case was a wake-up call for law enforcement across the country. The multi-state nature of his crimes highlighted the desperate need for better communication and data sharing between different police jurisdictions. In response, the FBI accelerated the development of databases to track violent crimes and offenders, paving the way for the computerized systems that are standard today. This was a pivotal moment in criminal investigation, moving from scattered paper-based files to a more unified technological approach. Furthermore, Bundy's case was a catalyst for the development of behavioral science and criminal profiling. FBI agents who interviewed him gained unprecedented insights into the mind of a serial killer. They learned about his methods, his motivations, and his patterns of thinking. This knowledge helped build the foundation of the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, which profiles unknown subjects in the major cases. The idea of using psychology to understand and catch criminals became a mainstream tool, largely because of the lessons learned from tracking and studying Bundy. He inadvertently forced law enforcement to evolve, creating new methods to hunt the very monsters he represented. The impact on society was just as profound. Bundy shattered the comforting illusion that criminals looked a certain way. His clean-cut, charismatic persona forced a nationwide reevaluation of personal safety. It was no longer enough to just be wary of suspicious-looking individuals. The Bundy case taught a generation that danger could be deceptive, hiding behind a handsome face and a charming personality. This led to increased public awareness campaigns and changed the way parents taught their children about safety. The conversation shifted from simply "don't talk to strangers" to a more nuanced understanding of manipulative behavior and trusting one's instincts, a cultural shift that continues to influence how we perceive risk and safety today. His story serves as a permanent, cautionary tale against judging a book by its cover. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of history's most complex criminal cases. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content that explores the fascinating and often dark corners of history. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.